All right, here we go with the beginning of Module 12, 12.1, which is the Pythagorean Theorem. And the Pythagorean Theorem only applies to right triangles. Now, right triangles are those triangles that only have one of their angles has to be a 90-degree angle. And so if you have a 90-degree angle, then the Pythagorean Theorem will work. So let's take a look at our first example here, and that's to take a look at this drawing and try and figure out what the Pythagorean theorem actually says. Now it gives us this formula, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Let's take a look at what that really means. A squared and b squared come from the legs of the triangle. So each of these stands for the length of one of the legs of the triangle. And the legs, you can see here, make up the 90-degree angle. And one easy way to remember that is the 90-degree angle symbol, which you see right there, looks like a sideways L or an upside down L, depending on how the triangle is turned. And it's really important that the 90 degrees touches both of the legs. So in this case, this leg could be called A and this leg could be called B. And it doesn't matter whether you get that correct, but what's really important is that you get this side, which is called the hypotenuse. That's the longest side. That's the side that's away from the 90-degree angle, and that's always going to be C. So let's go take a look at applying Pythagorean theorem to a problem. So here we have a triangle, and I know that the right triangle symbol is missing, so we're going to go ahead and add it in. We're going to assume all the problems on this assignment are right triangles, which means one of them is going to be a 90-degree angle. And I said before that whatever sides are touching the 90-degree symbol, those things are our legs. It doesn't matter which one you call A and which one you call B. So I'm going to just call this one A and I'll call this one B. So in this example, B is going to be that 13 side right there. And the question mark is the one we're trying to find. And in this case, since it's away from the right angle symbol, it's opposite. It's the longest side. That's our C. And these are the steps. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to write the formula a squared plus b squared equals c squared, because for right triangles it's true. And a squared is going to be 5 squared. And 13 squared is what's going to go in place of b squared. And of course c squared we're still trying to find. 5 squared is 5 times 5 if you remember back from our exponent module. So we're just going to go ahead and simplify these exponents here. 13 squared is 169. If you need to use a calculator, go ahead. And that is c squared. So 25 and 169 add up to 194. And that's not a perfect square, so we're going to have to go use the calculator. In order to solve this, the last step you're going to need to show is to take the square root of both sides. We need to know what number times itself will give us 194. The only way we're going to do that is on the calculator. And over on the side over here, the square root of c squared is just c, and we'll let the calculator do the rest. Okay, so to get the square root of 194, we'll hit the square root button first, and there you go, and then we're just going to hit 194. We want to round this thing off to one decimal place. C was equal to 13.9, and if you really want to, you can turn it around. I sometimes like to look at the variable on the left side. C is 13.9, and that's how long the missing side is. If you do this correctly, your C will always be the longest side. You notice the two legs, they're always going to be the shorter sides, and the hypotenuse will always be the longest side. So here we are looking at another right triangle. You can see the symbol there on this one, and note that it is touching the two legs, but this time one of the legs is unknown. We don't know what X is. And I'm going to go ahead and let that be A. A is going to be X, and this is B. This is my other leg. And then the longest side, the side that's not touching the 90 degrees, that's our C. And so C is 17 feet. So let's take a look. This could be any in real life situation. Could be a ramp, could be a ladder leaning up against a house, could be a road. So here we go. We'll write a squared plus b squared equals c squared. We always want to start with our formula. And right away, I know that a is x. I don't know what that is. So instead of a squared, I'll go ahead and call it x squared plus 15 squared equals 17 squared. And if you want to use your calculator at this point, go ahead. Some of these are pretty common. After a little bit of practice, you'll probably start to memorize them. 15 squared is 225, and 17 squared is 289. Now, before we take the square root and actually find out what x is, we have to get x squared isolated. So I'm going to go ahead and take away 225 on both sides. Make sure you show your steps. Make sure we write our numbers clean. X squared in this case is equal to, and subtract those two. If you want to use a calculator, you can. It's 64. And the last step is to take the square root of both sides. So we'll go ahead and take the square root of this. I don't need a calculator for the square root of 64. X is going to equal 8. So here we are looking at another right triangle. This one's got a decimal. And let's identify A, B, and C, since that's where it really gets important. Notice that there's our 90-degree angle symbol. So I'm going to call this one A, and B is going to be the thing we're going to look for right now. We're not sure what that is. And then this, of course, is C. That's the longest side. So we'll start with our formula here. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. 2 was pretty. And let's plug them in. So we got 3.9 squared plus B squared, which I don't know, and equals C squared, which is 11 squared. So we're going to go over here and use our calculator, 3.9, and let's go ahead and square that thing. 15.21, 15.21. We'll keep those decimals for now. Plus B squared equals, and 11 times 11 is 121. And then we got to get this isolated. We got to get B by itself. So we'll take away 15.21 on both sides. Don't try and do this one in your head. It's usually easier. Just use the calculator. It'll save us a mistake. So B squared equals, and I need to go hit enter. Let's get rid of that line here. We'll go 121 minus 15.21, and there we are, 105.79. And the last step we have is to take the square root of both sides. So we can't call that done until I'm taking the square root. So B equals, and we can do this a few ways. We can copy that number, but I'm just going to hit enter and I'll type it in. So the square root of 105.79, and there it is, 10.28. So it's 10.3 when we round it off to the nearest tenth. And again, since it's a leg, it better not be longer than C. And you can see that C up here is 11. And so this is our leg, and that's how you do it.